For today's short meditation, let us turn our pages to Psalms 119, verses 41 to 48. May your unfailing love come to me, O Lord, your salvation according to your promise. Then I will answer the one who taunts me, for I trust in your word. Do not snatch the word of truth from my mouth, for I have put my hope in your laws. I will always obey your law forever and ever. I will walk about in freedom, for I have sought out your precepts. I will speak of your statutes before kings and will not be put to shame. For I delight in your commands because I love them. I lift up my hands to your commands which I love, and I meditate on your decrees. Today we'll be looking into the real freedom. As we read this Psalms 119 verses 41 to 48, here the psalmist talks about the freedom, especially in verse 45. Many people think that it's very strange that God's law and man's liberty are enemies, but it differs from this passage. Here we see that they say, I want freedom and I want to do my own things. That's what they think the freedom is. But they are wrong, because God's law and our liberty go hand in hand. And especially in verse 45, it makes it clear. It says, I will walk about in freedom, for I have sought out your precepts. Here we see that how clear it is. The psalmist says that he walks in freedom and he has sought out the Lord's precepts. If we take it in a worldly way, people think the real freedom is doing what they want to do or what they think they want to do. Like they reject the Lord's precepts and they want to keep their own desires or what they wanted to do. If we see what is the definition of freedom, some say it is the privilege of doing what one wants to do. But in reality, that is not the freedom. In fact, that is one kind of the worst slavery that one could go. Because if you are being controlled by what our implications are, we become slave to it, even though it is from our own idea. But the real freedom is a life that is controlled by God's truth and motivated by His love. This is very much true in every aspect of our life. Because if we see the traffic laws, only when we obey the traffic laws, we can go freely in the highways or in the roads. But when we are not obeying, it's always a fear that when we go on the streets or in the highways. If we obey the laws of truth, we have the freedom to speak, or that's how the people will believe us. If we take all kind of law in every aspect of our life, like if we obey the law of science, that's when there won't be any tragedy in any kind of laboratory, any scientific research is being done, only when it's being done lawfully. Otherwise, there will be some or another situations in laboratory. Even for example, if the pilot, if he doesn't abide by the law of aerodynamics, he won't be able to ride the plane. He won't be able to fly his plane. Until and unless he obeys the law of aerodynamics, he won't be able to fly the plane. So there are certain things when it comes to law. Only when there are laws, we can enjoy the freedom. It's not that what we wanted to do. We can't depend the freedom on our own desires. And we see that we have freedom to enjoy the power of the law. When we yield to the truth, when we yield to the commandment of law, we have this real freedom. So when we submit ourselves to God, we are taking a step forward towards the freedom. And we see that as closer we get to God, we are closer to the freedom. Only when we abide by Him, not by abiding by our own desires. That puts into our own slavery, and that causes worst outcomes. So always the real freedom is found in the truth. It is found in the law. It's found in God. And when we abide in God, and when we follow His precepts. That's what the psalmist here also telling us. And we see that Charles Wesley, he wrote a quote that says, God breaks the power of cancelled sin. He sets the prisoner free. He says here, if you submit to me, together we will enjoy the truth and love. But when we don't submit to Him, we won't be able to enjoy the love and the truth. And Even though we feel like that is freedom, we are in utmost worst situation of our own slavery that we built up. But only when we submit to Him, only when we submit to God and His truth, we have this freedom that we can enjoy. So let us remind ourselves today to take the first step toward God. When we abide in Him, we are a step further towards our freedom. If we are not, then we struggle in our day-to-day life. So no matter whether it's a small or a big circumstances, it is always better to depend on Him, to depend on His truth, so we can walk freely, so we can be free from all these worldly desires and other things. Rather, when we submit to Him, we have this utmost freedom that we get from Him. So let us try from now onwards to take the step forward by abiding in Him and abiding in God's truth and obeying His law. Amen.